Hi guys, welcome back. Since I've been doing the channel, I've talked to quite a few of you whose attorneys took your money but didn't deliver. So on top of feeling victimized by your employer, you feel re-victimized by the very person you hired to help you. And I hate hearing those stories because it's hard enough to win when you have an attorney you can trust. I still think most of our employment attorneys have our best interest at heart, but if you happen to get one of the ones who doesn't, that can be a nightmare scenario. When an attorney's actions or inaction breaches professional standards in a way that harms you directly, that could be legal malpractice. And if you think that's happened to you, then you need to speak with a malpractice attorney. I can't help you with that one. But I can help you avoid some of the traps. So today I want to talk about 3 of the most common complaints that I hear about employment attorneys and share what I did to keep from falling into those traps. Now, one of the worst that I hear about is missed filing deadlines. When I hear about an attorney who's missed a filing deadline, that one always gets to me because meeting our deadlines is so basic here. For us, every deadline could be a make or break moment. And courts tend to be strict about deadlines. If our charges don't get filed in a timely manner, our case can be thrown out on that basis alone. And if you want to read some cases where this has happened, you can check out Singh versus George Washington University and Zipes versus TWA. And beyond filing our claims on time, if we miss any deadline set by our judge, there can be devastating consequences attached to that too. For example, in my case, NASA's attorney missed responding to a motion by 1 day, and our judge decided that motion in my favor. And if my attorney had missed that deadline, he'd have done the same thing to me. I've been surprised at how often this sort of thing actually happens, but it kind of makes sense, I guess. I mean, we're all guilty of letting things slip through the cracks when we get busy, and most good employment attorneys are super busy. So to help keep my case on track, I kept a master calendar, where I recorded all the deadlines for my case and set reminders for myself around important milestones. Then a couple weeks before each deadline, I sent my attorney a friendly reminder and asked her to CC me on her response or send me an email letting me know. That way I'd know that deadline had been met and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. Another common complaint that I hear from you guys is being fired by your attorney. Many firms include terms in their contracts that allow attorneys to fire us midway through the case, often without cause, and still keep all their fees and expenses. I've run into quite a few of you who have emptied your bank account to pay a non-refundable retainer only to have your attorney drop you before an important deadline and leave you stranded, having to look for another attorney and pay another retainer. More common still are clauses that require us to take our attorney's advice and accept settlement offers that they deem reasonable even if we don't agree. So if we want to hold out for more compensation, we could end up having to hire another attorney and pay another retainer to get it. Every contract that I read had some kind of provisions that allowed my attorney to fire me. So I'm not suggesting that you run away from any contract that has these kinds of provisions. But I do want to encourage you to pay attention to conditions like this and think them through before you commit. Now, before I signed anything, I read every contract from every attorney that I was considering hiring through carefully. And I highlighted anything that I could find about non-refundable retainers, unilateral withdrawal, and any clauses that allowed them to drop me as a client if I refused a settlement offer or didn't take their advice on something. And then I asked some hard questions about those things. Like, what's the lowest settlement you've ever accepted for a case like mine? How many cases is that number based on? What factors do you consider when you're deciding what constitutes a reasonable offer? And how much of a vote do I get about the outcome of my case? Chances are you won't get any concrete answers here because they can't promise us an outcome. But if they brush us off or get testy about being asked questions before we've signed the contract, chances are that's not going to improve after we've signed. I also checked reviews, and where there was a consistent theme of fast settlements, I took that as a possibility that speed might override top dollar at that firm, and I took that into consideration. And the last common complaint that I want to talk about today is boilerplate filings. Firms who hire inexperienced associates often use templates as a way to make sure that all the legal boxes get checked in all their filings. But templates can also be a crutch, and firms who rely too heavily on these generic templates can gloss over the details that make our stories compelling and convincing. Now, I didn't run into this problem, but I also didn't take any chances. Whenever I sent my attorney one of those friendly reminders that I mentioned earlier, I also made sure to give her some written input on whatever document she was going to be filing. I attached a document that laid out all the points that I thought she might want to make in plain English, and then I referenced where she could find evidence that supported those points. That eased my mind and also helped her because she didn't have to sort through 1,000 pages of evidence to find what she needed. Now, each of these missteps, the missed deadlines, the unilateral contract terminations, the boilerplate filings, can cause us consequences without ever rising to the level of legal malpractice. And we're the ones who ultimately have to pay those consequences. So I hope some of the things I've shared today will help you become an active partner with your attorney in your fight so that none of this stuff happens to you. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care and hang in.